tell you a story that sheds light on how this massive level of compliance all over the world, almost simultaneously, descended and successfully hoodwinked millions and millions of people to comply with this corona doom. How did people suddenly suspend their lives, go into lockdown, risk an experimental gene therapy that's not approved, threaten their fertility, wear a face diaper that doesn't work? How did all this compliance settle in so quickly?
It is May 1962. An experiment is being conducted in the Elegant Interaction Laboratory at Yale University.
A Yale psychologist named Dr. Stanley Milgram was fascinated by the notion of compliance with respect to what happened in Germany in World War II. And Milgram devised an experiment to see how willing people would be to bring harm on strangers. So Milgram put an ad in the local newspaper in New Haven, Connecticut, asking for people to sign up for a memory test. Sure enough, 40 people from all economic backgrounds, different levels of wealth and experience.
The subjects range in occupation from corporation presidents to good humormen and plumbers, and in educational level from one who had not finished elementary school to subjects who have doctorate.
What they didn't know was that they were actually being enrolled in an experiment on human compliance under the threat of pressure from the doctor to see how much harm they would inflict on someone. So the respondents in this test were to be the teachers, and the learners was actually a paid actor.
The victim was an accomplice of the experimenter. The drawing was rigged so that the naive subject was always the teacher, and the accomplice always became the learner.
And as the teacher began asking questions, they were supposed to memorize word pairs. Every time the learner got an answer wrong, they got zapped.
Red, that is incorrect. This will be at 3:30.
So Milgram had one person after another undergo this pressure-filled situation where when the unseen student or learner made a mistake, he would have to administer this shock.
Next one, slow. Wrong. Answer is neck. 300 volts.
I absolutely refuse to answer anymore. Get me out of here. You can't harm me here. Get me out. Get me out of here.
Continue. The next word is green, please.
Green, grass, hat, ink, apple.
How compliant would they be to inflict pain on someone when a doctor says, you must continue, you must follow the orders, the experiment requires that you continue?
We must continue. Go on, please.
You're going to keep giving what, 450 volts every shot now?
That's correct.
Beforehand, he did a survey of what people think about what the proportion would be. How many people do you think, if they were studied in these conditions, would administer a maximum lethal shot of electricity?
40 psychiatrists at a leading medical school were also asked to predict the performance of 100 hypothetical subjects. They predicted that only a little more than 1/10 of 1% of the subjects would administer the highest shock on the board.
Of 100 people placed in this situation, how many do you think would just go right on to the end?
Well, personally, I think if you get one or two, you'd be lucky.
They said on average, it's not going to be more than 1.2%. The actual percentage of people in the Milgram experiment who went all the way.
50% of the subjects obeyed the experimenter's commands fully in the experiment depicted in this film.
There's too many left here. I mean, geez, he gets wrong here. There's too many of them left. I mean, who's going to take the responsibility if anything happens to that gentleman?
I'm responsible for anything that happens here. Continue, please.
Next one, slow. Wrong. Answer is neck. 300 volts.
Shock of 105 volts. 75 volts, Jim.
Milgram was going to replicate his experiment in Germany, but once he found the American answer, he realized he was not dealing with Germans versus Allies versus Axis powers. No. He was dealing with fallen human nature. So if you want to understand how this widespread compliance fell on us in 2020 and 2021, look to 1961 to Stanley Milgram, the accidental prophet.